All right, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Up and running. Buttons are clicked. Knobs are moving. Looks good.
Are we live right now?
We are live right now.
Hey, I got a question for you, Wooly.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about my attempt to create a new word with Paige in that you call the floppy part on the dog's cheeks burgers?
Burgers?
Burgers.
I mean,
like
that...
when they look straight at you and like the jowls are really flopping out, it looks like mincemeat, like raw meat. Because it is, I guess.
Yeah, it works, but you kind of it needs a little bit of... You need to probably put another word on top of that.
I don't know, because it's fun to say, like, the dog slapping me with his burgers, which is the dog is apparently attempting to do right now.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you don't want to say jowls, then you can say, like, usually if you're going for a nickname on something, if you're trying to make it happen, it's got to elicit the image automatically right away.
Yeah.
I don't know. Try it out. See if it catches on.
I just think it's fun to say. Burgers. He likes it.
You can even if
he also, likes eating his own vomit, so.
If it never catches on, you can keep it alive on your own.
That's streets ahead.
That's pretty fetch.
Oh man, I don't remember. I don't even. Did I ever even encounter that?
Fetch? No, you didn't. Because fetch was never a thing. Streets ahead was a thing until it became streets behind. But fetch was never a thing.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good. I thought I was out of the loop there for a second. God forbid. I would hate to be out of the loop with the kids nowadays and the cool lingo.
Remember when...
That's completely wrong.
Remember when Urban Dictionary was actually helpful?
Is it not?
Not anymore. Now that it's become a completely oversaturated mess with random idiots in frat houses getting their own inside jokes written up every time. Oh man, that's so Dylan. Yeah, says 30 other people, and then they thumb it up, and now like having someone say that's so Dylan is a thing that's entered in there, and then it shows up as the word of the day, and then it fucking gets tagged in other people's definitions.
Isn't that how language works?
Yeah, it is, but the problem is when it's 30 idiots putting up their own inside shit.
Isn't that how a language actually works?
Yeah, but fuck it, there's too much, and they all suck.
Like it's different. It's different when it's like 30 idiots. So like, I mean, I did a deep dive on the word based, and that was just little b.
It was just little b, yeah.
And people going, yeah, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'll go along with it.
Okay, well, how about this? It's a commentary on the quality of what's coming out. It's all shit. And now, when you look at it, all the ones that are actually, like, if you're looking at something that you're trying to understand that is, from somewhere, from another country, another culture, whatever the case is, or from any given place, it's listed alongside 800 other slightly off-spelled non-words that people don't use for that one.
You're not being very Dylan right now.
Yeah, okay. So like that's if there's like one word that you clearly want to use or have a definition of or look up or whatever, and it's like clearly thousands of people are using this. It's just surrounded by a bunch of dreck is the problem, and I feel like a couple years back that wasn't the case. So that's it.
Isn't language fun?
Language is fun. Until it's not.
Yeah, until it's not. All right. Well, I also found that fetch was a thing. It was just only a thing in Mean Girls.
That's the reference. You went Community.
Mean Girls.
You went Community. I went Mean Girls.
Yeah.
That's the joke. See?
I see. I liked mine better because it was like insanely out of touch, like insane Chevy Chase.
Yeah, but I
Trying
liked
to
mine
go
better
for it.
because it was hilarious, but you just didn't get it because you didn't see the movie.
Yeah. You know what you know which one was the best one of them all? It was Shui. From fucking Batman
No,
Beyond.
I know. I remember. Yeah. Shui was... I still give it to Mean Girls. That movie's fucking great. That was incredible.
The reason why I like Shui is because I was like 12 years old and I heard Shui and I felt... I can look back at that now and I felt then about Shui the way I feel now about new shit.
Sure.
Like it successfully transplanted the alienation into my young brain.
Shui just reminds me of Swifty.
Well, now it's just really ruined.
There you go.
Now it's proper fucking ruined. Along with pickles, which are terrible anyway. Like, you shouldn't like pickles. They're cucumbers that have been ruined by disgusting vinegar. But yeah, pickles have been annihilated by that shit. Dude, it sucks. I like Rick and Morty a lot, but I hate everyone else who likes Rick and Morty.
Yeah, well, there was a season. There was a period, and by that I mean, like, not of the show. I mean, like, there was a season of culture where the worst of the worst came out and showed their, I guess, how would you word
They're
it?
high IQs.
High IQ, exactly, right? And it's like it enabled a bunch of really stupid people who were enjoying how smart and smug they felt about being a fan of such a smart show compared to other dumber shows. And this culminated in people going into restaurants and doing fucking Pickle Rick on the floor and cringing out and shit. And it was awful. It's a terrible time. We try to forget those dark days.
You know what's a fun little factoid that you can pick up and put in your wallet to keep with you in the future, Wooly?
A packet of Szechuan sauce?
Yeah. You know what one of the easiest signifiers of genuinely low intelligence is? It's the use of complex and long descriptive words for things that could easily be said in simpler language.
Yes. We've had this conversation before, and when we did, the first thing my brain goes to, which I brought up, was the way a number of people that are like there's a number of people that I grew up with. There's people like people in my family with just like the thickest Jamaican accents when they're arguing, trying to sound way more intelligent than they are, and like eventually when you kind of catch on to the point where your dumb screaming is not going to make you any more right, then they just go into this kind of mode of speaking where I would like to communicate to you, sir, that you don't seem to be effectively understanding the point that I am eliciting right now, you see, and that is the reason. I cannot
believe that you would confuse and exacerbate this extremely I can't even get it together, but like the word exacerbate just like is the one that jumps out at me. It's like you're trying to exacerbate this situation. It's like, why would you say it like that?
It's the combination of the accent with the ridiculous like search for the biggest version of every word in this sentence, and you look like a fool. You look like a fucking fool every single time. And it just I had so much of that growing up that it's the first place my brain goes.
Oh my god, it's the worst. Ugh. This is just that. That's why the smartest you and I have ever been is during that 1 minute video. Smartest, our brains were working at max capacity.
Coin Keep is 3,000 IQ. That's future language. That's where we're going.
No, give Coin Keep money now.
You know, we're linguistically absolutely going to a place where, oh fuck yeah, cut out the fat, get to the point.
Fuck it, all prepositions gone.
I mean,
all of them, don't need them. Only nouns, adjectives, adverbs, and verbs.
That work. Pluralization, go to.
Yeah.
Extra S, not need.
No need, S.
Tense.
Word fast now.
Tense go.
We're basically fucking geniuses right now.
And you understood. You can understand everything we're saying. You understand everything. We cut all that out.
Jim Ryan, cry, bully, work good. Yes. Sony.
Pat Week.
This is going to be relatively short because part of my week is something I can't talk about. And it's actually something I want you to talk about instead. Because I don't know how far you got in the first time, but I skimmed through about 4 hours of you and Reggie fucking with Disco Elysium.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to have seen... I'm skimming it, and I'm like, you know when you skim on Twitch, you can see the tiny little thing, the little image, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is absolutely 52 minutes of the stat screen.
Mm-hmm.
I did the exact same thing, where it's like, the game's gonna narrate everything, except for this.
Yeah.
Except for this one part.
And your spoken dialogue, too.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, right? These are the moments where you have to kind of go like, all right, listen. You literally cannot please everyone, and that's all there is to it, right? So you start the game out, and thank God they're narrating everything, but there is this starting screen where you have, 30 stats maybe? 4 rows of
24.
Okay.
4 and 6.
And each one of them has 2 little screens, one with a short sentence, and then one with 2 paragraphs breaking down what the stat is. They're excellently written. They're not voiced. They matter because it's what you're going to be doing in the game. And if I were to just skim over that, even though I read it myself before when I played it alone, it would be stupid to just ignore the stat that I might need, because that was 2 years ago. So you need this information instead of ignoring it, and then later on that stat's going to matter. And it's like, yeah, well, that's what you get for not reading about the thing that the game's trying to tell you, right? Obviously, you don't be stupid. Read what the game's trying to tell you. So like, all right, we need to do that. Furthermore, the content is really good. It's well written.
It's good stuff.
The stat breakdowns are fantastic, you know? So the idea that we're just going to start this game and then not do that part of it is stupid. It's ridiculous. It's like, it's such an obvious, yeah, you have to do that, you know? So
oh, sorry, after you.
No, and so I realized the moment we kind of started doing it that I was like, okay, gonna have to actually, like, explain to everybody that, hey, so we're gonna actually start reading this now. And this is going to take some time, but that's the nature of this game. And if that's a problem, then cool, fast forward, you know? But like,
I've been going through at the pace of its own dialogue, and that is some slow going.
Certainly. And we're voicing everything that is an optional choice as well, you know? So, I mean, I just, like, I'm thinking about the times, you know, when it was an issue when a game was not English because people wanted to minimize. So if we're voicing the options and then moving forward, at the very least, that makes that more feasible. So I'm trying to help that situation along. But then, yeah, if folks are just like not you know, feeling the pacing of it, or they already know everything that I don't, and they want it to go faster, well then there's nothing I can do here. Like, you're looking at a game that's dense, full of lots of good shit. And if I ignore it, not only am I missing out on the good shit, but it might come back to bite me in the ass later, which is also going to be my fault. So instead, we're just going to read what's there. We're going to take our time, and you're going to have to deal with it.
So let me ask you, what stats did you go for? What kind of detective did you make?
Well, I mean, from what I forgot what my original character was, but what we did this time was I believe we specialized in the static, I thought, what was it? The sound of the streets, listening to the city.
Shivers.
Shivers.
That would be your specialty skill.
Yeah.
Oh, people in the chat filled us in. You went 5-3-2-2 shivers.
Yeah. So
initially 5 intelligence, 3 emotional intelligence, 2
Yeah.
physical and 2 Motorola's.
Motorics. Yes, we were initially going to go pretty lopsided for the thought side of things. I feel like a big, dumb beef brain playthrough would be fun to see as well for someone with no thought, just all body. But the coolest sounding stats to me were mostly on the Psyche row, which is the second row. We're talking about Disco Elysium right now, by the way. There's 4 rows of stats that you're putting up. The top 2 are dealing with mental. The bottom 2 are dealing with physical. And the third row or the second row had the most interesting one. So we kind of went back and balanced our stuff around. I also assumed that like going even across the board would be incredibly boring.
I think that is probably the worst way you could possibly play the game.
Because then you just middle of the road version. You middle of the road all of the milk toast roll checks.
Yeah.
But you never get any of the really high ones, which are probably going to be the most interesting.
Well, the most interesting thing is
I'm guessing.
Because you have your skill checks, which are like break down this door using physical instrument, which is the easiest, most obvious one, right? And there's pass or fail on that, right? And that's, interesting in its own right. Or empathy is like, can you figure out what question to ask a suspect? But what's ended up being much, much more interesting was not the active checks, but the passive ones. It's electrochemistry chiming in to tell you just how many pills are in the bottle behind the counter, or reaction speed, telling you what's going on just outside your field of view.
So wait, did you do 3-3-3-3?
I did not. I went 4-4-2-2. Very similar to yours, actually.
Okay.
I was surprised. Though in my original playthrough, I grabbed Encyclopedia as my signature stat. It's interesting because the balance, this is going to be a weird way to phrase it, but the balance of the narrative experience has changed significantly with the addition of voice acting to all the stats. Because Encyclopedia might be the worst stat in the game from a player perspective, because Encyclopedia has the most words. Easy. When I had it at 6 or 7, it was like every single interaction would blast me with some kind of useless data.
And now not only is that fixed, but you get to enjoy the quality voice acting. And in some cases, the voices are better than others. So, like, the inclination to spend more time with the ancient reptilian brain is so smooth and cool and fun, especially because of how his delivery is affecting things. It's great.
Yeah, and I have to say I'm very impressed by the gentleman's range in that the man's got a voice like a driveway. It's I don't know how it got like that, if he's an old man or if he loves smoking, but it's a dirt road from hell in terms of gravel.
Is he Murdoch from the Gorillas? That would make sense if so, because it sounds similar.
But the thing that kind of shocked me is that I was originally disappointed that it was the 24 voices would all be voiced by the same person. And he's voicing them with the same voice. He's not putting on a voice for them. All he's changing is his intonation and his vocal style. And it totally works. For example, have you spoken to Drama yet?
Once. I think Drama came up once.
I fucking hate Drama. He calls you sire, and he's all this flowery bullshit. I hate him. It sucks. Meanwhile, Half-Light scares the shit out of me. Half-Light is a psychopath.
Interesting. For me, it's Esprit de Corps, because, like, that's the thing that is like, that's the thing that basically is like, yeah, sure, jump in front of a bullet for your partner, but also this is join in on the stomping, you know? We all got to do it together kind of thing. Like, that being its own stat in a way is a really interesting and terrifying idea, because you know that's a real thing when you're a part of a force like that. You know, you're a link in the chain. We move together.
It's fascinating because as I played a lot more of it now, I've discovered that there are in fact two types of stats, and they are not clearly elucidated to you on the stat screen. There are stats that function as you would expect, and then there are stats that I'm just going to basically describe as psychic, like just straight up psychic powers.
Okay. Predictive.
Shivers and Esprit de Corps and Inland Empire will just pan the camera up and teleport the story somewhere else.
Yeah, okay.
If you had a decent Esprit de Corps, when you call the station, you get an entire background scene
of all the other
the
cops.
Station.
Okay.
That is just your psychic viewing of the whole fucking thing. Shivers does something similar with the city. Inland Empire is just I mean,
so
it's
in Disco Elysium, Esprit de Corps is your fraternity with other police officers, essentially.
Yeah,
that's what it's kind of described as.
It's your cop your I don't know what to call it, your cop sense.
But it's more than a cop sense. It's about the brotherhood. It's it's about the fact that you're like, think you can read what the other's about to do. You're going to act together. It's specifically about the unit, you know?
It's about how long you'll let Kim tune somebody up in the back of a car. Before saying anything.
Yes.
And you know what? With Kim, a long time, because Kim is the best.
So because of I only know the start of the game, it feels right off the bat like Inland Empire is given way more attention than any other stat right now, and it feels as if like that is a freebie in terms of how much reward and content you get for having it high, because it's a part of every 5 minutes.
So it does feel that way, and one of the big reasons is because you have your tie that Inland Empire is associated with. However, I would not say that all stats get a chance to shine, because I wouldn't know, because my physical and motoric stats are quite low.
Yes.
But of the stats that are evenly spread around, it does seem relatively equalized. Like every tree has your psychic stat or your scene stat. So Esprit de Corps and Shivers. The intelligence one is visual calculus, which if you went and found your shoe, you got to see like just a fucking CSI diagram
how it went, how it got there. Yeah.
Right.
But it's interesting how it's broken down into that versus perception, where it's essentially the same stat, but one is putting it together after it's happened on the crime scene, and the other is in the moment, in the present, reading trajectory and spatial awareness.
Yeah. So I ended up, through a combination of thoughts, having a sky-high perception stat. I picked it as my signature, and then ended up getting like a +5 or 6 to it through various thoughts. So I'm hanging out at 10 perception, and you don't know it until you have a stat that high. There are so many checks that you don't see. There are so many checks. Every single conversation has like 3 or 4 checks that flew by you because you didn't know.
Interesting. I mean, it does tell you like success or failed really passively for the small ones in the middle of the conversation.
Yeah. But there are others that just don't show if you couldn't clear it.
So so something I was thinking about, right? And this is as I was wondering about like what it would be like to go full meathead, muscle playthrough, all motorics and physical body.
I would say that there would be a lot of problems that I would have been able to solve a lot more easily.
Right. Now, but here's the thing. When you're going into a game like this, not knowing what to expect, not knowing what your stats are going to actually affect in the end, maybe it's just me, but I feel as if there's a bias against physical stats based on the genre of the game.
Oh, of course. It's an RPG, and it's an RPG that doesn't really have combat in it.
It's
so
not
you're gonna
action
be mostly
based.
Talking.
Yeah.
Right? So
Movement.
You look at you look at the top two, and it's all like intelligence and speech stats basically. And you look at the bottom two, and it's physical stats, and like the red ones all look like shit that have to do with fighting. And you go, well, I'm just going to be investigating. I'm not going to need to do any of that shit.
Yeah,
but
and I don't know
that's not true in this case.
I don't know what the action is going to look like. I don't know how that's going to play out when it happens, but I do know that like from playing like from just the idea of point and clicks, like Western RPG again, there's a lot of times where I'm looking at this and I'm going like, well, it feels like most of this game is going to be cerebral. It's all narrated. Everything is going to be talking to people and trying to pick the right choice to get what you want out of their dialogue. And I'm sure there will be action sometimes or physical things sometimes, but there's a bias in the genre that makes me think, possibly incorrectly, that I'm going to be doing mostly mental things. Therefore, I want to build a character that's equipped for that.
Yeah, I ended up. My motorics and my physical are 2-2, and it makes me insanely excited to play through the game again with my physical being the highest stat, because I am constantly running into situations in which, oh man, I wish I had a little more endurance. Oh man, I wish my pain threshold was higher. Oh man, I wish my electrochemistry was higher. And I had a situation in which I had not seen a single half-light check in the entire game because it was at 2. And then I put on some clothes that kicked up my half-light to I think 4, and I saw a couple half-light checks, and they were incredibly helpful. They were there to acknowledge the existence of split-second decisions that I would not have known about either prior.
Okay. I felt that way about rhetoric. I felt that rhetoric would come in and be like, hey, by the way, don't ask about like where what you know about the body or whether you killed the person. See how much this person knows about the body first before going into that line of questioning. And it's like, oh yeah, right. The order of these choices, even though at the top is, did you kill him? Like, the ordering of how you ask will have an effect on what you can deduce based on what their responses are to come back to that series of questions later,
Where it's gotten really wild, and as you get further in and your stats get higher, I have encountered 2 or 3 situations in which suggestion, rhetoric, and logic all told me to do different things simultaneously.
Interesting. Okay. That's cool.
And I'm like, oh. And then I had to think about what might be a very confusing way to phrase it, which was, do I trust my empathy or my logic or my rhetoric more?
Yeah. And
as a character, not as my own personal perspective.
Yeah. Which and the answer would be, which way do the rest of your stats lean? If I trust in my empathy here, but I'm very low on everything relating to like I have the ability to roll the check for empathy, but I am very low on everything else relating to like interpersonal relationships and communication. And I forgot what it's called, but it's not charisma, but I want to call it charisma every time. Your ability to suggest, perhaps it's suggest. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Far right, second row, I believe.
That's suggestion.
Yeah, right. That's where you're gonna be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have trusted my empathy there.
Let's take that as an example, because I skimmed through it and discovered that you fell into the same trap that I did, which was not realizing that the empathy check options you got were actually the result of an empathy failure instead of an empathy success.
Exactly. And now you're hearing the voice of continued failure, and it's going on and on down the worst possible road. Something about a cock carousel.
Yeah, it's like, I did not pay enough attention and thought empathy was telling me the truth, but it turns out empathy was lying and caused me to go down a road that the game mocks you for trying to escape.
And it literally says, too late, it's on, it's on.
Too late, do it.
I mean, I like the idea that, like, someone who lacks empathy does not understand that, like, what they're doing by pushing themselves into this situation and giving the worst possible fucking MGTOW advice is, like, it's like, yeah, the reason why you feel that way is because you don't imagine yourself in the shoes of the people you're deriding. It's that simple, you know, in this instance.
Probably my advice to you, the only advice I ever made. By the way, Shivers is a great stat. It's a good pick.
It's just
There's
cool
a lot of
sounding.
Crazy content associated with it. And it's the only one that doesn't have that man's voice.
Okay.
It has its own voice because it's the voice, I believe it's the voice of Revachol.
Cool. I liked the sound of Shivers and Inland Empire because, like, in terms of what, I don't know how useful they're going to be, but in my head of, like, what sounds cool to have, the energy of, the way I described it was Matthew McConaughey in season 1 of True Detective.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mouth open, floating around the crime scene, just in another world. Putting together what he's putting together.
The exchange between McConaughey and Harrelson, I think it's at the end of the second or third episode, or Harrelson turns to him and goes, "Can you just stop saying all that weird shit all the time?"
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, okay. And he goes, "Did you get any sleep last night?" He goes, "I don't sleep. I just dream." And it just zooms in on Harrelson's face as he's just like, "Oh, this fucking motherfucking..."
Yeah, exactly. Weird mouth open, you know. That I love that. And again, it's also, it's like that same energy too of people said it's like the David Lynch stat, the Robert California stat, the sex lies in videotape stat, you know. But and then Shivers just being like Neku from With the World Ends With You. Just stop and listen to the city and see what it tells you. Or that one awesome moment from KOTOR 2 when you land on the busy planet.
Narshta.
And like you get a lesson from Kreia in listening, using the Force to just listen to the city. You know, that stat, like, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to get used once or twice, but it sounds rad.
Yeah. So my advice to you is that you can pick up a lot of items that give you a lot of bonuses, but they almost all, like, negate something. I know that you want high skill numbers because of course you do. Be very wary of dropping anything below 2. I had authority at 0 for a while, and like it didn't blow me up, but it did cause authority to straight up disappear as a stat. But it also caused a situation where I became acutely aware that if I had to confront anyone, I would be totally unable to.
Yeah. So here's what's so good. Disco Elysium, they'll describe all these stats to you, and they'll tell you this is what it's good for, this is what you idealize this ability in its best use case. But then the second paragraph is, if you don't have this is the problem. Authority is a fucking full-on fascist. You are just... like, you don't give a fuck. You're authoritarian. You're going to roll over people.
Screaming that I am the law. You're Judge Dredding it.
Judge Dredding it. How dare you? Well, old Judge Dredd. And yeah, you're just the craziest, like, I'm a god. I'm a god with a badge, you know?
I had
well,
an
maybe.
authority check that failed in my last game the first time that ended up with my character shooting himself in the mouth.
Jesus fucking Christ, man.
Like that's how
Yeah,
bad it can go.
Cartman.
Because I kept trying to get somebody to do what I wanted, and they wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I got a gun, and I'm like, "Do it," and they're like, "No." And I'm like, "I'll kill myself." And they're like, "Do it, pussy," and then I died.
So, and then it tells you that like if you have no authority, you have no way of getting things done. You can't convince people to do things. You have no confidence whatsoever, So that's the thing, is like even the stats that sound crazy, you have to have some to function. If you have none, it's the worst thing in the world. You want to float on everything at least a little bit.
Yeah. The only stat I've explicitly 100% ignored, I'm not like decreasing it, but I've ignored completely, is electrochemistry.
Because are you gonna drug up? You planning to shoot up?
I have explicitly gone stone cold sober the entire game, with the exceptions of Nosafed or the health items, right? Which are not narcotics. They're just health items, or like they're basically allergy medication.
So there's those two stats, of course, which are like physical health and mental health. The first on the second and third row.
Volition and endurance.
Right, and like
which are not just important for your health.
Oh,
okay. They are for pure checks. They're less used than the other ones, but the two checks I've discovered that do use volition and endurance are highly important.
Okay. I would imagine life and or death. But
I fucked around with a 1 endurance playthrough a little bit back before the voice acting, and it's wild because you can't even risk physical actions
right
anymore, because you just die outright
if you take the hit.
Yeah.
It's
so
interesting
if you do take your final pip of health, if you have health items, you are allowed to use the health item before you actually die.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, so I don't have to keep using it or consuming it.
Here's the kicker. This is something I did not understand until people were explaining it to me. Say you have a volition of 5, right? So you have 5 mental health, but you've taken 3 mental health of damage, so you're 2 mental health. For volition checks, you will only have 2 volition. Your full endurance or volition checks only count if your health is full.
Okay.
Because you're weak.
Yeah. It's lower. It's not just full stat, but like in a health barred state. It's like it's down to it's closer to 0.
Damage decreases your ability.
Right. Okay.
And it makes sense. If I've taken 2 hits of damage, yeah, I am physically weak for endurance level challenges.
Yeah. So oh no. Okay. Side note on one thing I was going to bring up later, but that whole thing about just like maybe again I feel maybe it's just me, but like because if I played other games where the writing and the narrative was as strong as this, I would be biased towards using or building stats that support that writing. I would put much less into endurance in a Souls game if there was also like this wild narrative alongside of it. I'd build a character that was more about the conversational elements and things like that.
Yeah, it's like you play Fallout. I tend to play characters that have a lot of medical and speech skills. Because that's the play style I want.
Yeah,
but in this game, perception and reaction speed and physical instrument are parts of not speech but of investigation. Like, there's a door that I miraculously broke down on a 3% check. that opened up a fucking whole thing for me that I would not have been able to find out otherwise.
And that 3% check, that brings me to the next thing about this game that I find for this LP at the very least is interesting. I don't know how you're handling this, but there was a discussion about whether or not to fill up our plate at the buffet or whether to just eat what we feel like eating. And the audience wants blood at all times. So
that's correct. That is accurate, yes.
So if you do give them that, you're going to see the most content, but also you're going to achieve the most crippling deaths at every possible opportunity. Every time there's I feel as if going for every single incredibly awful check will lead to stats getting blown the fuck out and just having a weird, wacky man playthrough that, you know, will just kind of go nuts at every opportunity.
So let me put it to you this way. That's not exactly the case, because
I don't know what's coming.
By exhausting every dialogue option, right? Mm-hmm. Even though some of those dialogue options are pull your pants down and swing your penis around or whatever, and you're like, well, wouldn't that cause that character not to like me? Whatever. There is a explosion of mutually exclusive content in this game. Failure often doesn't lead to locking you out of something. It just forces you to a different rendition of the event or makes you take another way. So take, for example, me trying to convince somebody to give me their paintbrush, right? And I can pass a conceptualization check to explain to them in flowery language that I'm going to make some cool-ass shit with that paintbrush. If I succeed, they give me the paintbrush. If I fail, darn, I failed. But if I go up to them and then grovel and be pathetic, they will begrudgingly give it to you anyway.
Sure. Now,
does in addition, sorry, after you.
Does this mean that the insane check is always going to be the most entertaining way forward type of thing? Because
not necessarily, no.
I didn't, because for example, in my own playthrough, I didn't do this, but in this one, I went for the fucking see you later fuckers, run out the restaurant, double deuces.
I think everyone tries that one.
And then it ended up working out in a weird way. It went bad and then it went good. But I didn't go for it in my initial thing. So then I'm kind of like, all right, now that's an example of an extreme route that created a different solution.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, like, will it just be predictable to always go for the crazy and
no.
Always, you know what I mean? Because I kind of want to make
sometimes
actual
it is
decisions.
A straight negative.
Okay.
Like, there's a situation where I tried to check and failed it, and that locked out the ability to very easily just... I tried to break down a door, and that locked out the ability to just politely ask for the key.
Okay.
And thus... like, it was the only reload I've done in the entire thing because I used the Twitch integration and I went along with what chat said instead of my own gut instincts. And I should never have listened to you guys.
Yeah. You're going to get called a coward either way. Doesn't matter.
It's no big. Everyone's calling me a coward every day. It doesn't matter. And there's also stuff that will, like, lock shit out. Right? So, for example, if you decide to spec into... let's say, both hardcore racism and the fascism skill tree, Kim will just leave. He will go.
Interesting.
He will leave the game. And Kim is like 20% of the game's content.
Interesting.
So, like, yeah, you could be like a fascist dickhead, and see the fascist dickhead content, but as a result, Kim won't be around.
Yeah.
That's probably the most extreme version of it. But yeah, their successes and failures. Just make whatever decision you feel you actually want to do.
That's what I'm trying to get at, because like because having played it a bit on my own and then doing it this way now, I'm realizing I'm like, oh, the crowd pleasing version of this game is gonna be weird, and I don't want that to be the entire thing. You know,
I ended up was very interesting. I ended up because role playing in games is terrible. Role playing in games is almost always awful because you always have to go down like a series of set paths, no matter how many paths there are. And the idea of like creating a backstory for your character and then following that backstory is often just it's so much in your own head and user control.
Side note, the algorithm keeps pushing posts about GTA 5 roleplay Twitch clips at me, and I don't know what the fuck this is or why it keeps trying to show it to me.
I had a whole day of trying to understand that shit.
Holy fuck, I'm super uninterested in this, and it keeps pushing it.
I had a whole day. Anyway. So like let's take Fallout for example. It's like you want to role play a character that is a dumb barbarian and only uses melee weapons, right? Because the backstory that you thought up in your head works with it. Well, you're going to run into problems where the game's narrative doesn't quite support the backstory that you created, or demands that you not use melee weapons, you know, stuff like that. With Disco, I naturally ended up towards a situation in which I'm role-playing my mental, not ideal, but my platonic Shadow World version of the detective, in that if I were to wake up and be so stone-cold, blackout drunk that my memory is evaporated, I'm going to stay away from pills and booze.
Right.
And I have... like, there's so many times where I'm talking to people and it's like, I literally cannot help but be a jackass because it's funny to me. But when it comes to the case, I'm dead serious and I desperately want to solve the case because it's fascinating.
So I was talking to Plague a bit about it, and he mentioned that his version of the character was one who, like, you wake up from the worst shit ever. And like his version of the character was trying to fix the mistakes and like slowly correct himself in a way, and deal with the shit that he caused in a way. And I was like, interesting, because like the game's lines are so funny sometimes that it leads you to want to pick the funniest one, even just to see how it plays out. And there's a loading tip screen in the corner that says, by the way, have fun experimenting and be willing to say things you wouldn't otherwise say. You'd be surprised what you can get away with when you're an authority figure, you know?
That's true.
Yeah. So like, you know, but I was like, oh, so you can play it straight-laced and just ignore all the crazy voices and be as normal as you can be. And I was wondering, I'm like, does the game then become more dry for it? And he said that
there's only so dry it can become.
Yeah, and he said not really. You know, and the line that was that people treat you when you're trying to own up to your responsibilities by acting normal in a way, people then treat you more harshly instead of just pitying you. You know, and I was like, ooh, okay, I see how that works. You're not a creature to be pitied. You're one of us, therefore fucking act up, you know?
Yeah.
Do your thing. Own up to it.
The various NPCs' reactions to the level of your acting up is solid gold, but nobody beats Kim. Kim is the best. And I'm legitimately fascinated to see what forms of capo types you end up embodying through your playthrough. I And in hindsight, I should not have. I loaded up on capo types very strongly. I am embodying almost all the capo types, which might have been a mistake. I'm a sorry hobo art cop.
Interesting.
At the current moment.
Yeah, I'm not inclined to commit super hard immediately, despite the neighing and braying of barnyard animals to immediately commit to every single one that pops up. I'm willing to wait until I feel like, yeah, I want to actually send this character down this road. I don't know what the gameplay implications will be. I'm just feeling my way through the dark right now. But
so the thing about
if I don't feel like embracing the ideology of HoboCop, I'm not just going to click into it immediately, you know.
Yeah.
On
So
the
thing that I would say about that is that if you get like say the HoboCop capo type unlocked, you're gonna want to pick that right away or not.
Okay.
Because the bonuses will start accruing immediately or not.
Okay.
You'll get the most bonus out of picking a thought immediately.
Fair enough. But yeah, I think it's gonna just shake out to, you know, like me and Reggie making decisions and some crowd pleasing, you know, doing stuff, but we're gonna have to just play it by ear, I guess, and some wild checks, you know, whatever they lead to. I think it'll be fine. We're saving frequently enough that a death is not even that big of a deal, you know. But like, you can't avoid the missed content, you know, no matter what. That's the nature of this game.
You're gonna miss out on like guaranteed 40% of the game's content,
and that's by design. So, you know, it's just what it is.
It's crazy. Like, I want to know what the physical stats have to say about every conversation I've had so far. Right? Like, I genuinely I think back, and you know what I really think? I kind of wish I would have picked one of the pre-made selections in the character selection screen. Because it looks like if you picked each of those three and ran through it in a row, you would get to see most of the stuff that's in the game
covered. Could be, yeah. Yeah, but you know, obviously it's just fucking incredible so far. And I feel like Kim gives you the opportunity to be your worst, because he'll have a way of disarming it in more than a couple situations so far, you know. Like, I'll take the best he gives you the most charitable interpretation of what you're trying to say.
Unless there is no charitable interpretation. And then perhaps he just kind of shakes his head.
Yeah, I'm talking so far. It's
kind of wild, because whereas the detective is the most out of control piece of shit ever, Kim is necessarily the opposite. The man is the most in control character I've ever seen in this. Like, if he had, like, his authority and composure stats are literally off the charts.
But to the point where...
Incredible.
But to the point where I remember there was one conversation where he said... what was it? I think it was just like, hey man, don't you have any creativity whatsoever, any creative soul or something? And he was kind of just like, no, I don't think about that. And like, there was a point, there was something he mentioned about like not getting lost in his thoughts, but it was to the point of like being a flaw, almost sounding like a flaw. Yeah, you know.
But the thing is this. Did you ask him if he has the thoughts running around in his head talking to him?
I think that's what it was. I think it was conceptualization.
Yeah, and he's like, no, and then he starts to write in his notepad, and the one of the checks, if it passes, clears out that's like, oh, his thoughts are in that notepad.
Okay.
Like his mental dialogue is the notepad instead of
right.
like voices screaming in your head.
And then we ended up having a conversation about a friend of ours who has no voice in his head. Everything he thinks is just visual or just an abstract concept, and he doesn't think in a language in his head. And that there's some people that are like that.
Is that weird?
Yeah,
I think with words.
Mm-hmm.
I use words to think. But yeah, Disco's great. Shocker.
Some people don't.
Hey, did you try the controller support for Disco?
I don't think I did. I just pulled up the mouse and keyboard right away.
Yeah, try it. It's terrible.
Okay. There's a lot of small things to click on, so you know.
Yeah, like it's awful.
It's nice.
Do you know how the Twitch integration works?
No, I was considering putting it on, and I asked the chat, and the more responsible, trustworthy members of the chat said, "Don't do it."
I would respectfully disagree, because the chat can't take anything away from you. There's two options. One is, and it's actually incredibly well woven into the Twitch integration. One is you click the little dialogue button, and a dialogue prompt shows up in the Twitch window as if it were part of the game that people can click on.
And it shows the recommendation?
Yeah, it'll give you the percentage. And all it does is show you the percentage. So you can use, like, I have been using it not necessarily to make decisions anymore. I actually just want to see what people would have chosen. And then I make the decision I want anyway. And the second one is you get, I think it's 15 seconds, and chat can reroute one of your stats. They can minus a stat and plus a different one. And I mean like the whole row, like motorics or physical or intelligence. And then that lasts for 30 seconds and then disappears.
Well, that sounds pretty drastic.
So when I'm running up against checks that are 42%, right? I'm like, guys, can you buff the motorics a little bit to kick it up to 50%, right?
Well, that does affect outcomes then. That's not just suggestion.
Oh, no. I didn't say it doesn't affect outcomes. I said they can't take anything away from you. A lot of Twitch integration systems have it so that Twitch chat can damage your game. Like the Vermintide 2 integration is chat gets a vote every fucking 90 seconds that says spawn a boss or healing items.
Okay.
And they spawn a boss every single fucking time. In this, even if they buff the wrong stat or try and fuck you, 30 seconds later, it's gone.
So, what I had said was that, like, I based on the description of it, I'm like, I'm willing to, try anything out. So I said, like, we could try it out for a bit and see how it go, and then just turn it back off. There's nothing lost in just going in and out and seeing what's up. But the initial suggestion was to keep it off. I'm curious to know if, like, I'm curious to know what the audience would feel seeing a playthrough where a number of, like, every decision is like, here's 97%, say this thing, and then it's just like, no, I don't want to say that thing, and then you ignore what the big push is. Does that almost make it more annoying to watch? Do you feel worse seeing
I don't know
that get
that's
ignored?
Kind of what I've been doing.
Yeah, but your stream energy is about that anyway. It's not. I have a different vibe. I have a different stream.
I've had situations where I'll get a dialogue of 4 options, mouse over the one I'm going to pick, and go, "What would you guys pick?" And then they pick something else, and they go, "Yeah, too bad."
Yeah, I'm not you. I'm not you. So it's different. So I'm curious, about how that would feel to people watching. A number of suggestions just go outright ignored.
Sounds like you have low authority, Wooly.
Yeah, It's more like I'm down to explain my choices, and in a situation where there's always opposition to what I might want, every time I go against a 97%, I'm gonna feel I'm gonna feel the urge to explain why, and that might just be a big waste of time.
Man, I failed a 97% perception check with a double snake eyes on my last session. And it's like, you can unlock this check if you boost perception. And it's like, my perception is already at 10. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna do this check again. Mm-hmm. It was not meant to be.
Yeah. Wooly has no authority. My authority is that I'm not turning the feature on. That's my authority. There it is. You know. Well, no. The truth is, I'm thinking about like I want to see what it looks like for maybe a session or two. But I'm gonna probably stick with it off for the most part.
But yeah, that's me playing air quotes playing Disco Elysium, because hey, that game fucks. That game's incredible. That game's amazing. I can't wait to be able to talk to somebody about how I beat it after I beat it, and then hear some shit I didn't know, and then go beat it again. Mm-hmm. Let's see, what else did we play this week?
Here's my authority.
Yeah,
there we go.
Hmm?
No!
I
just exerted my authority.
Sounds like somebody has low volition. Can't handle the stress. Taking mental damage. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, I played the Final Fantasy XIV NieR raid this week, which is now surprisingly not complete.
Okay.
So, what would happen is on the 0.1 patches...
Wasn't it supposed to be the last one?
It is the last one.
Okay.
So on the 0.1 patches, the raid comes out, and on the 0.2 patches, a interim, keep your attention, doesn't have a big set piece moment, but its story background quest would happen with the dwarf village that is associated with the NieR quest line. And beat the third raid, and unlike all of the other ones, it has now spawned a weekly quest that will run for the next month that includes more story about it.
What?
It's the only quest in the game that works like this.
So it's not over.
It's not over. In fact, it won't be over until the week after Replicant 1.22 comes out.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Which actually just seems like fortuitous timing with the COVID delays. But what's extra weird... So first of all, about the actual encounter, like the actual, 40, 60-minute long raid sequence, it's visually incredible. From a gameplay perspective, it's incredibly interesting. The music is stellar. The encounters, particularly near the end, are fantastic, gorgeous, cool-ass set pieces. The gear looks like shit. Like it looks terrible. It's fucking ugly.
Has any other franchise gotten this many crossover parts?
No, the closest would be the Ivalice raid for FF Tactics, but it didn't get a weird post-raid weekly story thing.
Has anything else gotten 3 parts?
Crossover shit? No. They almost all get 1 part. And
so NieR is just being given a whole lot more. Yeah, okay. All right.
Also, I was talking to people, and I don't know how to say this, but I'll go with my original tweet. It's very surprising to me that the crossover raid in in FF14 has more to do with NieR's universe than NieR Automata did.
I would ask what that means, but I don't want to know.
Automata was a very standalone game that did not necessarily need the background from its compatriot.
Oh, yeah,
universe.
yeah. Okay, I know, I follow. Yeah, But it does matter and connect to it.
There is a bigger piece
more
of
meaningful connection.
There's a more meaningful connection in this thing than Automata has.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Like bluntly, it's more NieR than NieR Automata.
Cool. Got it. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Because I mean, like some of the most exciting parts of Automata were the tie-ins to the previous game, which were, sparse, but I was hooked in whenever I saw them. And I would say of the 3 big ones, like 2 of them are just little things and one of them pays off huge, Yeah. 2 of them are just kind of minor, so.
The other thing, and this ties into the fact that the NieR Raid series will not be done for weeks, is that the whole thing feels like Taro kind of fucking with NieR fans, almost. Not Final Fantasy fans, but NieR ones. Because despite the inclusion of familiar characters, I think they have like 25 lines of dialogue total. Like in the Evilise quest line, you hung out with what was essentially surrogate Ramza and Alma for like 1,000 to 2,000 lines of dialogue. I can't remember if 2B even speaks to the player. Like they feel like guests.
Okay.
Meanwhile, all of your Taro writing, like the existentialist depression fuel that you would expect, is actually put into the fucking ugly, stupid-looking dwarf village side of the story. All the stuff that you would expect from, like, Drakengard characters about blaming people and murdering people and justice is all dropped on top of these single model dwarves that stand in a line and ask you to talk to them all. And that's the part of the story that will continue for 2 more weeks.
Yeah, I don't understand any of this, and it's weird sounding, but it's cool that it's being given this much like attention and stuff. I mean, we're about to have a situation where, I don't know if you realize this, but like NieR is a game that came out and, was a weird pseudo sequel, but not really on its own thing, last gen, or 2 gens ago, I should say. And then Automata came out and it was a banger and it was huge. It was a massive hit. And now we're about to overnight have a franchise of a set of 2 games turn into a franchise of like 5 games with these big FF tie-ins going on as well.
We'll have NieR, we'll have Automata, we'll have Replicant, and we'll have the FF14 thing.
And then the mobile game.
And maybe one day they'll make a Drakengard that people will want to play.
And we're going to talk about it, but there's a new project as well that involves Yoko Taro's direction and Square being involved, so it sounds as if it's another thing as well. Like this is about to become a giant multi-game franchise, whereas it just kind of sat as like weird, obscure thing, banger sequel.
It's very weird. For your own personal purposes, Wooly, I'm going to... Well, no, I'm not for you, but just to let you know, I will be continuing to cover this weird-ass quest line. I didn't think I was going to need to stream any more of it, because I was like, oh, great. All done, right? Mm-hmm. And then the game told me, come back next week. And then you check the patch logs, and it's like, oh, no, there's 3 of those. Mm-hmm. There's going to be 3 come back next week. So I'm going to be rolling those up into a playlist. But as it is... apparently my playlist of going through those raids is one of the only ones that is useful for these purposes, because the guy who just did direct feed has it in ultra widescreen, which makes it so that you can barely fucking watch it on your phone or TV.
Okay.
I think I'm the second result or whatever. But yeah, no, the playlist will be up that will have all of this shit. For those of you, you know, it's funny. You know Rebecca from Warframe?
Mm-hmm.
She said to me a year and a half ago, "Oh man, NieR's so great. I'm gonna go back to FF14 and play those NieR raids." And I went, "Rebecca, what level are you?" And she was like, 15. And I was like, "Holy shit, Rebecca. That's like 1,200 hours from now."
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, I'll get there." And she's streaming it every now and then. She's at level cap.
Oh,
and
cool.
she did it, and she really likes that game. So the NieR raid did work on at least one person, but many people don't look at an MMO and go, "I will play that for a year to see my crossover content
to get to that story." Yeah. Okay.
And for those people, like, yeah, no, I got a playlist on my YouTube archive channel. You just watch it.
Okay.
It's all gonna be there. Because MMOs, man. Right?
NieR is popular. That's so fucking crazy. That's so crazy. So weird. This thing that I remember, like, having these conversations with, like, James Small about back in the day about this quirky little game that has, you know, really good voice acting, but, like, really clunky action, and, like, but the protagonist is, like, an ugly dad, so it gets points for originality, you know? And, like, this thing
and
is
it plays
just,
like shit.
yeah, it's such a fucking weird world we live in now, where it's like a huge deal, and all it took was a little bit of robot ass.
There's an alternate timeline where I would have gotten way into NieR when it came out, because I bought the game. I thought it looked cool. And then I played like 2-3 hours of it, and I'm like, this plays like shit. And in the first 2-3 hours, you don't get to see, like, all the cool emotional beats or cool story things. You just get, oh, this town theme is incredible.
Yeah, takes a while.
And these controls are bad.
Yeah. There's no reason to, like, you would pop it in, especially last gen, and then not necessarily feel any pull to stick around and find out how good it gets, you know?
Yeah. And that was prior to the common knowledge that when the game asks you to beat it again, you should really beat it again.
Yeah, it's there's like, so much stacked against it.
If I had beaten original NieR and it's like, now do play through B, and I'm like, what's different? And they're like, nothing, wink wink, but they don't actually wink at you.
Yeah.
I'd be like, fuck that, I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's just New Game Plus, and it only starts you halfway through? That's stupid.
Like I'm looking at my shelf of, like, 360 games, and it's and I'm like you're asking me to play through, like, you play the first hour of this, and then you're like, yeah, now keep playing that instead of, I don't know, BioShock or Metal Gear Rising, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it was right next to those
just
games.
What like what? You know?
It was
why would you?
2010. What was it up against? It's up against Mass Effect 2, Red Dead Redemption, Fallout New Vegas, Black Ops 1, and Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Who would?
As well as Super Mario Galaxy 2 and Halo Reach.
It's crazy. It's a crazy fucking notion, you know? That's the just forcing the sequel out and going, no, it was good though, is what saved it in this circumstance. Have you seen the Western comic book?
No.
A friend of mine sent me a page of the Western comic. I'm going to drop it in the Discord. Take a look.
With this Western comic book.
Apparently there was a NieR Gestalt Western comic.
Oh my god, I know that guy. That guy used to do PSM covers.
Wild shit.
That looks like trash.
No, this isn't Joe Mad who did some of those PSM covers. This is another artist. But
Spine ain't gotta look like that.
I don't know, but it looks like big old Western comic book NieR.
That looks like shit.
I'm sure if you just Google NieR Gestalt Western comic, yeah. I'm like, when the fuck did that happen? That's hilarious. Anyway, yeah, NieR is big now. It's crazy.
So yeah, the NieR raid's fantastic. Like, the gear is terrible, but you know what? That's fine. Like, it's the experience was more than made up for it.
I mean, all it has to do is be black and let you put a blinder.
No, the one. So that's the problem. The first, there's 3 raids. The first raid was the operator outfits in black leather. The second one was the operator outfits in black fabric, which is the one that everybody likes because they look by far the best. And then the third one is the crossover costumes, which include a couple throwaway operator costumes that didn't make it in, Devila and Popola's outfits. I think what was her name? You remember the android that wanted to give you macro Jackass?
Yeah, Jackass's
outfit.
Nice. Okay.
And so on and so forth. So it's kind of like a fucking grab bag.
Okay.
Of shit. It doesn't look very good. It doesn't look nearly as good as the ones from the last one, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. What's more important is that the music and the final boss in it is fucking A+. In fact, I actually sent you that music, and I cut it for fade out so that you didn't have to touch it for putting it at the podcast outro.
Okay. Yeah, I feel as if even cosplaying as a YoRHa outfit is less a visually effective if your hair's not white.
Yeah, well, you think that's bad? Some of the outfits have tiny little hats that go onto my character's bald head, just dead center. Looks like a fucking Mr. Magoo character. It looks terrible.
That's the worst. Okay.
You know, you get to find out that the NieR outfits really, really look good on lithe men, like skinny, short men, or women with big asses. Anything that's not that style, just, you know what? It just doesn't go good.
Twinks and Pixar moms.
Yeah, there it is. Right there.
Anything else?
I don't know. I don't think so. I'll probably remember something later. But for now, that's pretty much it. I've been watching a lot of Law & Order SVU, and I've discovered that Law & Order SVU, the first couple seasons, were a wire farm in terms of actors.
Huh.
Like everybody. Like, oh, there's Cedric, there's Rhonda, there's Weebay, there's Senator Clayton. What was the senator?
Is that a Dick Wolf?
That is a Dick Wolf.
Okay. Have you watched other Dick Wolfs?
I've watched the original Law & Order series.
Okay. Because
I don't like Criminal Intent.
I saw the intro for what was it called? NYPD Blue? Or was it... And then I saw the intro to New York Undercover. And these were 2 shows that both had fucking banger-ass intros. Real, like, teleport back to the 90s watching TV on a Sunday afternoon vibes on them.
Yeah.
Really strong. And I saw one of them. I forgot which one of the 2 was a Dick Wolf. And I was like, oh, shit. I guess that would make sense. You start there on one cop show, and then you just keep cop showing your way up through your entire career. And I'm just wondering, like, is his entire career cop shows?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I would also like to make a clarification, because I mentioned that I was watching SVU and really enjoying it, and some of the younger members of our audience were like, "Are you insane?" And I need to make a distinction. SVU's been on for a long time. And the SVU of today is a fucking parody of television. It is like the worst shit ever. and you can pinpoint the exact moment that show falls apart. And it's the season at the end where Chris Maloney leaves. Immediately afterwards, the show just falls to pieces. And it's sad when you like. Can you think of stuff other than that? It's like an actor leaves or a single writer leaves, and then you go, "Well, that's the end of that fucking shit."
JD left Scrubs.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even like that show.
JD left Scrubs.
That seems crazy.
I think maybe like 2 seasons without him before they just called it.
Fuck, that's so stupid.
Mm-hmm. I mean, not uncommon if the actor blows up and then the rest of the cast doesn't, so they have to figure out a way to keep it going. Remember when fucking Foreman left That 70s Show?
Oh yeah, that was stupid.
And he just kept, like, they kept talking about how he was away. He was, like, on safari or something like that.
Shit.
Some crazy storyline with him not being in town. And then it was just like, let's just follow Kelso and Donna and Fez.
Like, this doesn't work.
Yeah. There's, when
it's
it
not
was
good.
Yeah, the protagonist of the show gets popular and leaves it. It's not uncommon.
Goes and becomes Venom. I don't like Topher Grace's Venom. Ugh. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he could have done a lot of things, but that's not it. That was terrible, Eddie Brock.
It's terrible. Yeah, that's pretty much it for my week. If you want to check out more of my crap, you can go to twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. This week's going to be the NieR continuation on Tuesday with some Gungeon, then a bunch of Disco Elysium, and then NieR Replicant 1. Oh god, what the fuck is the title?
NieR Replicant 1.22474487139. Come on.
So I recently, and I feel really stupid, I discovered why it's that title. Do you know what that means?
No.
It's the square of 1.5.
Oh, okay.
Do you get it?
Yeah. I expect new endings that then retcon old shit. I mean, we already know some new shit's coming, and we'll talk about that in a second.
We'll talk about that in a second.
My week was, not that eventful in terms of games and things like that. I will probably, as you can imagine, I'm spending a lot of time finishing off the final touches of Guilty Gear lore. But, I don't know. I watched the first episode of that HBO QAnon doc series, and I'll finish it before coming in to talk about that, I suppose. There's like 6 episodes, so
really. Hey, Wooly, what's the deal with QAnon? What's up with it?
It's peak internet is what it is. Yeah. It's a pretty hefty question, but I'm checking that out. The main thing we talked about Disco. So the main thing is we played this game called Vita Fighters, and Vita Fighters is
where you get a bunch of smelly anime fans to beat up Jim Ryan.
Well, not quite. It's this game that was made as a fighting game for the Vita and then eventually on iOS and Android. It's free, and it's made by angry devs, and these are some people that seem to know the deal with fighting games. They seem to be quite familiar because upon first touch, it takes about 1 or 2 rounds before you realize, oh, this is really legit.
Yeah, I'm looking at the trailer. I can tell just from the movement.
So you pick a character, and he's got a sword, and he does an uppercut with that sword where he sticks his blade out and flies upwards, and it's like he doesn't say. He says like product, and it's like, was that volcanic? What did you?
No.
Okay.
No, shut up.
All right. And then he does like a standing kick that has the right 5K angle that you've seen before, and you're like, oh, okay, I've seen that kick. And then you jump and press the heavy punch or the S button, and he sticks the sword beneath him. And the big yeet drop. He
straddles it with his legs on either side.
Exactly, and you're like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, sure. So, anyways, it very, very quickly and easily shows you a bunch of legally distinct characters from a number of games, but they're great. They feel good to use. They've got all the things that you want.
Good old one good man.
Yes. Rikimaru and his Shinku fireball. And so they're faceless block polygon shapes that are kind of like, bouncing around and stuff. And they look like Fighting Polygon Team, except dressed up and clothed, as a number of original characters. So this thing is interesting because it's like, all right, I'm playing it. I tried it out on my phone, and it's like, oh yeah, touch controls, it works, it does its thing. But how about I do the Bluetooth and I sync up 2 controllers, and then I screen share onto my TV, and now we're just playing a normal fighting game with 2 pads on my TV, and like the phone is just the intermediary in that situation, So yeah, you're like, okay, so we're playing and it's legit now. And then we get one match in, and it's like there's pretty much infinite air dashes, so it's kind of nuts. There's Gatling, so you can just string together like your punch kick special, buttons and things like that. And then you're like, oh, look, there's a parry, there's a V reversal, there's a dash cancel, there's a burst. There's all these things that, are subsystems in other fighting games that are just here in ways that you can spend your meter. And like, all of a sudden it's like, oh, this has like sauce. You can do fucking wild combo shit, So, Reggie and I just like immediately took to it and just started going nuts, trying to set up shit, trying to set up dirty cross-ups, you can immediately see how it takes the restraints off and lets you kind of just experiment with your combos. Try some Marvel shit, why not? There's a Kakashi clone that throws out a kunai and then teleports left or right on you. So, just do it. Set it up. Lot of fun. Really, like, it's that's the main thing, is just that it feels...
Only on mobile?
I believe I believe you can get it running on desktop as well. I know some people have. And
because it's Android, so you can just throw it in BlueStacks.
And also, I believe, again, like a Vita version, So, Vita fighters after all. And like then there's like, you just see like some character just got announced like that's in the game now called, I think, Lawrence, and it's just a dude wearing 3D maneuver gear. Like it's not pretending. It's like, yeah, we put it in the game. Shut up, does something pretty funny, and I don't even hate it. I don't hate the hustle. So there's characters that are sponsored, and the way you get access to them is not like DLC or whatever, but you have to visit a site for like this. One of them is like, here's a sweater, or here's a promo code to buy like one of them fucking hoverboard thingies, and then you just click on the link to go to the site, and then it unlocks the character in the game. So I'm like, all right, sure, you're right.
All right.
And then the other two are characters that you get to use them after you watch an ad, and once
that's weird.
After the ad plays, there's a half an hour countdown until you gotta watch another ad. So it's like a and that's the game is free, So that's their monetization structure, essentially, is like DLC characters that are free but ad watch based, and every half an hour you watch an ad to keep access to them active. Dude, it's a free. I don't mind it. I don't hate it. Like, that's how you're gonna monetize. Sure. Sponsorships.
Those commercials weren't always so terrible.
Yeah, they're awful. We ended up watching fucking whatever shit tank game they're trying to shill, and some stupid solitaire stuff where they just blatantly lie to you, and it was hilarious, you know. But in the end, yeah, this is a surprisingly versatile and legit fighter, and we dove in for getting to fighting games this week. So look forward to Vita Fighters. It's one of those things.
Is that on the Vita? I think you mentioned it earlier.
I think it is.
But are you even allowed to buy that?
You are no longer banned from doing so.
It's a good way to phrase that.
Put it that way.
It's a good way to phrase that.
Yeah. I don't mind. So I know Street Fighter V eventually rolled out the like ad supported mode where they were like, hey, turn on ads and you can see like Red Bull costumes and things that are, you know, like giving you passive fight money or whatever. Like, if a game came out that was free to play and it had that sort of method, or like, you know, well, yeah, like ad based, like access to a character or whatever, and it was a generous period of time, like if it was like, yeah, like you see an ad every time you boot the game up or whatever, I mean, that's ultimately fine if it's free. You know,
I would have played a lot of Rising Thunder and watched a lot of ads if Rising Thunder continued to exist and had ads.
If that's what they chose to do, that would have been wonderful. That would have been great. You know, I think like people that play a lot of mobile games now are quite used to fighting through egregious, horrible ad frequency. You know, significantly more annoying versions of this. So. I think it's fine as long as it's not just like over the top and just like constantly, you know, fucking annoying you or whatever. But it's a decent way to get a free game out there. Are there full desktop PC? No, games that are free on PC tend to just have free to play games. Tend to just have like cash buy-in systems with their own currencies.
That's correct.
Yeah. I don't know. There surely are some that are just mainly doing it through ads, but I can't think of any that are like really, really popular. Anyway. Let's take.
I also think of nothing.
Let's take a quick word from our sponsors. Yeah, that's pretty much me. We'll take some sponsors and then get into the news.
Let's do it.
If you want to check out more of Disco Elysium, It Takes Two. Currently, probably one more session to go of that. Incredible game. Super fun co-op times. And
still hoping for a murder-suicide.
We'll see what happens. And
it would take two.
And whatchamacallit. Yeah. Vita Fighters this week, and then more fighting games coming up soon. Then yeah, check out Wooly Versus, YouTube and Twitch. This week, the podcast is sponsored by it's DoorDash.
Oh, hey DoorDash, what's up, man?
It's nutrients coming to you. It's food coming to you. It's keeping you alive. Life is being brought to you.
What if I was organizing a group of old newspapers in my mother's garage, and unfortunately, the stack of mother's newspapers were to fall upon my body, trapping me in that garage, and the police arriving at the scene could not hear my screams for help? How would I feed myself?
Well, you could order DoorDash, which would bring your meal straight to your door and leave it at your door. And that's where the food would sit as you remained trapped under the newspapers.
It's possible that would give me the strength to crawl out of the newspapers.
The smell of the food might actually power you up like Popeye and give you cartoonish strength. This is true. And if it doesn't, then you perish.
Oh, well, DoorDash did their part.
They certainly did. And the way they do that is by connecting with over 300,000 partners in the US, Canada, Australia, Puerto Rico. And they've got all kinds of neighborhood chains, restaurants, your favorites, Nationals, Cheesecake Factory, Popeyes, Chipotle, whatever you're in the mood for. They can have it ran right over to your door and dropped off safely at a distance. Drinks, snacks, and other household items are also available. You can get grocery essentials now with DoorDash too.
I'll definitely need drinks in this scenario.
Yeah. And I mean, at some point, you're probably going to need some wipes, probably some toilet paper.
Yes.
Yeah, you can get all kinds of household essentials brought, again, to the door. No further than the door.
Nah, darn.
How you get it from
That's still pretty good, though.
Yeah, how you get it from your door into your house is up to you. You've got to figure that part out. But they're bringing it 99.9% of the way there. There you go. So, for a little bit of time, listeners can get 25% off and zero delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and you enter the code CASTLE2021. That's 25% off, up to $10 value, and zero delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app from the App Store and enter code CASTLE2021. Don't forget code CASTLE2021 for 25% off your first order with DoorDash. Subject to change, terms apply.
Thanks, DoorDash.
Thank you, DoorDash. This week, we are also sponsored by someone new over here, Dr. Squatch.
Dr. Squatch?
Dr. Squatch.
How do I spell that?
DR period SQUATCH. Dr. Squatch. What's the deal?
Familiar?
Well, here's the deal. You know what sounds familiar? You smell like shit.
I do not smell like shit. I wash and shower constantly.
Okay, but that soap and that body wash you're using, it's shit. That's not me. That's what it says right here.
It's just regular ass.
I've been informed right here. It says right here that you've been using garbage to wash your body.
Well, I'm washing it.
Harsh chemicals, synthetic detergents, all kinds of horrible shit that's brutal on your skin. It's terrible. You got to step your game up with soap that's natural, great for your skin, and doesn't smell like a middle school locker room. Damn.
Why is this ad attacking me so personally?
Yeah, I know. It's really going in. I don't particularly... Like, you shouldn't know what a middle school locker room smells like, but, like...
Definitely not.
I imagine it bad. So yeah, soaps. Made in the USA using the finest ingredients nature has to offer. Nourishing, cleansing, great for your skin. None of that awful synthetic chemical-y shit. And huge range of scents to transform your shower. They got pine tar. They got bay rum. Cedar citrus. You're never going to have a boring shower again. Dr. Squatch is what it's called. And, yeah. You can get it fresh bars to show up right to your door super easy as you need them. And a full lineup of personal care goods like deodorant, hair care, and toothpaste, and more if you are in the need. Right now, customers can get 20% off on orders of $20 or more when they go to drsquatch.com and enter code DSC SuperBeast. That's drsquatch.com, DRSQUATCH.com, and the code is DSC SuperBeast for 20% off on orders of $20 or more. Thank you, Dr. Squatch.
Thanks, Dr. Squatch.
So what's going on?
I'm thinking about pine tar.
Mm-hmm.
They put pine tar on baseball bats. So if your dick smells like pine tar, that makes your dick look bigger. Like a baseball bat.
Is that what they sheen them with?
That's what they illegally sheen them with.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds more like I'm.
So it'll be like an illegal baseball bat.
Or cork? Isn't cork bats the problem?
Yeah, cork. Yeah, but I don't think they have cork soap.
Cork bats are the cheat bats. That's what I've been told.
Yeah. And the problem is if you hit the ball with the cork bat and the fucking cork bat explodes, you can just see that just tons of cork in the bat.
Why not just metal Louisville Sluggers all over the place?
Why not just force athletes to take drugs?
Okay, well, there we go. It's been a couple weeks, but here you are.
You can have a control group.
It's a hack bit. At this point, the bit's gone hack.
I don't care. I want, if I say it enough times, someone will do it. If I say it enough times, somebody... Maybe if Vince McMahon listens to this podcast.
Speaking of saying it enough times and forcing them to do it, Sony has walked back on the PS3 and Vita store closures.
This was my plan, by the way. This was my long setup.
Segue of the fucking year. Shut your hole.
Thought everyone was very smart.
Baller ass segue.
Calling Jim Ryan a liar hurt his feelings enough that he walked it back.
So, there are times when, you kind of wonder if something is announced as bad news specifically so that there can be good news when it's canceled. But based on what we heard about
shit like this,
when we heard about this last week, I mean, Xbox with the prices and shit, the other day was pretty funny. But this doesn't sound like that. So yeah, recently we notified players of the PlayStation Store for PS3 and Vita that the devices the store was planning to end this summer. AKA recently we notified players that we were huge cowards. Upon further reflection,
we have bitched out on this decision.
It's clear we made the wrong decision, so I'm happy to announce that we'll be keeping the store operational for PS3 and Vita devices. PSP Commerce functionally will retire on July 2nd, 2021 as planned. So PSP still going down. So you still got to go get those. But
meanwhile, however, the PSP is like
very seaworthy.
What, guys? I don't think anyone's gonna have any trouble playing any PSP games they want.
No, I don't believe so. I believe that shit hits the water like flotsam, So no problems there.
The important lesson to be learned here is that companies
bully corporations until they listen.
Love being bullied.
Mm-hmm.
It's their favorite thing. It always makes them change. It really can't be overstated that the people running these companies occasionally do have feelings, or at the very least know people who still have feelings.
Oh, no, not at all. You are horribly misguided, sir. Feelings has nothing to do with this. This is self-preservation. An attack was essentially presented and pressure was put and negative energies were collected and everyone effectively made it loud and clear that this shit sucks and you're losing clout. Saving clout is a financial decision.
While that is true, there is part of it that I do like to think is feeling based. And that is when I think back to Bobby Kotick audibly complaining in interviews that he is having trouble meeting women because every time he goes on a date with a woman, she Googles his name and gets a bunch of photos with him with devil horns photoshopped onto his face.
It's good. It's good. It's like, I don't even know what you do. I don't know what industry you're in. I don't know what this is, but people don't like you.
Could you imagine that's the icebreaker? So why do you have devil horns on your head on every photo I can find of you?
Like, no matter what industry we're talking about here, if that's the end result, unless you're some kind of metal singer, that's probably not going to go well for you, you know?
And with that, I'm going to have to suddenly take a quick break because that dog is howling upstairs and needs to go out.
BRB.
Excuse me, gang.
Right. So, we were discussing the fact that, Sony has now basically walked it back. The good news, they're not closing the PS3 and Vita stores, yay. PSP store is getting closed. And, as we said, that's moot. However, the trade-off is that, according to Does It Play, which is the account which first reported on the CMOS issues with PS4s, the PlayStation 5 battery also results in your ability to play games being completely destroyed on the PS5.
What does this mean?
This means that
continue cyberbullying.
At a certain point in time in the future, when your battery dies, your CMOS battery dies on your PlayStation 5, the clock battery, it'll no longer be able to play any of your games, including your digital games, all of that. You're locked out entirely. So that is a time bomb, or a C-bomb as it's being called. I believe hashtag C-bomb is what Does It Play, the account that researches this stuff, is using. So fucking, what's the opposite of future-proof? It's not planned obsolescence as much as it is like just failure to prevent, like...
No, that's planned obsolescence.
That's
100%. That is a 100% certainty that it will become a brick at a certain point in time.
Intended? You think it's intended design? Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's intended design. It's part of the plan.
Unplanned obsolescence?
Doesn't matter. The intent doesn't matter. All that matters is that it is guaranteed to stop working as part of its design.
Yeah. So, at some point, I imagine, there will be a like skew up, whatever the case is. Like there'll be a replacement hardware that you might be able to still recover your purchases on or whatever. But should you decide not to do so, this has a death clock on it, not unlike the Nintendo original systems as well. In fact, all the early consoles that had reliance on their batteries.
Go boot up a Dreamcast. It'll be like, what time is it? I don't know what time it is.
Good comic. That was a fun one. Still works. And that's not true though. It'll ask you boot it up and it'll go, hey, yeah, I'll still run your games, LOL. By the way, what time is it? And then occasionally it'll be like, what did you just put in me? Is that a disc? I don't know what that is. And then you got to take it and then twist it up a bit and like clean a lens and wind a potentiometer until it works again. And then...
Yeah, but the issue is that even the battery dies, it can't contact... step 1 is the battery dies. Step 2 is the battery is recharged, but then can't sync to a server. Like, they're going to need to have some kind of passive authentication. Or keep the PSN servers up forever. It's obviously bad, but we had that email last week that talked about like the meaning behind Sony shutting down the Vita store and the PS3 store, and it's because of terrors of leaks, and that does make sense. So, and with the PS5 having full PS4 backwards compatibility, like, as long as they keep rolling that backwards compatibility forward, there shouldn't be a problem. Like, get a PS6 and you can play your PS4 games, etc.
Yeah, it'll just suck if you don't really want to buy new hardware. Yeah,
they won't do that. They'll fuck it up next time, I'm sure.
A number of folks appear to be confused by what twisting it up means. A potentiometer is literally a knob. It is a thing that you must twist as you reconfigure the Dreamcast when it's broken. You open it up, and that's part of what you need to repair to get it working again. Literally twisting it. Yes.
Analog shit.
Yeah. Pot it up. So that's a stupid fucking design flaw that I hope we don't have to deal with. Because, I mean, okay, personally, as someone who has the diskless version of this system, I'm probably going to end up with a replacement at some point. You know, I'm going to ride it out for now, but at some point I will want discs or the option to use them.
I'm in a weird place where I buy a shitzillion games.
Why would you get the digital only edition? Because I had a choice? What kind of stupid question?
The choice was get a digital only edition or not, I believe.
Like, fucking duh.
I buy so many games that buying physical games is just not feasible. So I've been all digital for quite a while. So this is the kind of thing that should terrify me. But I'm all, like, whenever something comes out, like, I don't usually sit on it for a couple of years. I go through it immediately. And for a lot of stuff, my mentality, like, for example, somewhere in this house, there's a PS2 that I can use and a copy of Silent Hill 2 that I could go through it again, right? But I also did a fairly exhaustive Let's Play of it. And long plays are available if need be. And I've gone through that game about 10 times. So, like, my personal, like, view on preservation is everything should be preserved, but I'm not personally freaked out by it. But there will be a day in the future where I go, fuck, I really want to play that old game, but I can't. And then I'll have to probably shell out to buy some old piece of shit that I don't have anymore or doesn't work or emulate it. It'll be, like, a massive problem.
Yeah, like, if I feel like playing Buriki 1, what am I supposed to do? You know?
Just fucking don't.
Die.
Yeah, just die. Yeah, you know what? Everyone who just feels like playing Buriki 1 right now, just go die. It's fine. All 2 of you. Wooly and the at least one friend that Wooly has that I know he talked to Buriki 1 about that isn't me in the past 2 weeks.
I will have you know that Hey Akihabara has a working, still functional copy of the Buriki 1 arcade cabinet running, and that means that someone is putting money into it on at least a somewhat regular basis, because there's other things they could use that real estate for. Yeah. So, anyway. Sony's doing that, and while they're doing that, you know, it's the power of bullying is not to be understated, certainly.
Bully the strong, don't bully the weak.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about bullying the poor?
I mean, for being poor, or they just happen to be poor?
No, a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
All right, what do you talk? Before I answer, can I get more context on this?
Sure.
So I'll say something real stupid.
Sometimes, you try to get a game going, and there's a window for a sequel, and sometimes that sequel window passes by, and one might describe that window as days gone.
Yeah.
Gone forever, because the sequel window is no longer around.
That interview is a fucking train wreck.
I just read the highlights.
It's a mess!
John Garvin, the director of Days Gone, apparently had a few opinions about the fact that there was no sequel coming out. And he does preface it and say that, you know, it might piss some of the audience off to hear this. I do have an opinion on something your audience might find of interest, might piss some of them off. If you love a game, buy it at fucking full price. I can't tell you how many times I've seen gamers say, yeah, I got that on sale, I got it through PS Plus or whatever. And he's arguing to buy the game at full price to show direct support for the developer, doing your part to maximize profit. As the case with Days Gone, if more people grabbed it at launch, Sony might have been more open to a potential sequel. He asks how buyers... Jaffe asks how buyers...
David Jaffe Noted, very smart, not crazy person, wink wink, asks the obvious question, how do you know you love it before it comes out?
And he's saying, I'm just saying you don't, but don't complain if a game doesn't get a sequel if it wasn't supported at launch. He continues, I think the uptick in engagement with the game is not as important as did you buy the game at its full price, because if you did, that's supporting the developers directly. Of course, it's not always that simple. The obvious truth here is that not everyone can afford to buy games on release. For many, gaming is an expensive luxury. Suggesting that these people are in part at fault for Days Gone's lack of a sequel is a slippery slope. Yeah, we would hope he knows this. Just trying to make a point. Doesn't come across particularly well, right? So, shout out to Quiet Shy. Go to Quiet Shy's channel and check out her video compilation of what Days Gone looked like on release, and then tell me if that's worth $60. Worth the full price. Yeah, very, very.
Dude,
correct,
that game launched on fire.
I mean, 9.9 out of 10 times, if your take is swinging at people because of their lack of money to buy the thing, you're probably the bad guy.
Every time it comes out that a developer goes, it's the customer's fault for not buying our dank shit!
You're probably the bad guy. Just consider for a second.
Like, every time, man.
Like, just as the words come out of your mouth, consider for a second, are we the baddies? You know? It's like, it now, in a world where, like, Steam sales are like one of the most important things a game can have because of how many people can actually afford to get it after, like, you know, in some cases, like saving up for months to get a game they might like, or like only being able to afford one every now and then. And this is a regular part of the life cycle of games and what's important to the consumer, and just coming out and being like, fuck all of you, anyone who says you want a sequel, eat shit, it's your fault. Like, what kind of weird, fucked up, skewed, opposite version of this industry have you been staring at and developing for?
I gotta say, I'm so excited to see Days Gone coming to Steam in literally 1 month from now. Sorry, 2 months from now. No, 1 month. I'm so excited to play that game now that the developer has yelled at me for not buying it already.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's kind of nuts because I'm just thinking about, like, how much it's like games like Skullgirls and Titanfall are people going, it's $2 right now, guys. It's $2. Like, if you haven't grabbed it, get it now. It's really good. It's worth a bag of chips. You know what I mean?
Like it's wild because Days Gone, like, reviewed poorly and was a train wreck on fire when it came out. And then when it hit PS Plus a little while ago, some people got a hold of it who wouldn't have checked it out otherwise, and were like, hey, you know what? This game has some cool stuff. It's a little rough around the edges, but it's got some good stuff. And for the fucking developer to look at that belated positive approval and go, you motherfuckers! Where were you? Like, holy shit.
Anytime a game is really good and really under appreciated, 13 Sentinels, I'm gonna be like, hey, you guys, you should go check this game out. It's really good. Not a lot of people know about it right now. It's worth your time. It's worth your effort. It's worth picking up. It's fucking fantastic. Absolutely push for people to pick up a good game that deserves all the attention and praise for what they did. The difference between encouraging people to go get a good game and fucking chastising them for not doing so and blaming them for their missed sequel opportunities is night and fucking day. And
it's Sony's fault. They're the ones who canceled your sequel.
I actively don't even give a shit Like, I didn't give a shit about Days Gone prior to this. I don't want a sequel to exist now with this kind of fucking asshole at the helm. I could give less of a shit about the existence of this product entirely.
Well, yeah, I sent you a video. It's got Quiet Shy's video time stamped at the right second. Go ahead and click on that and watch it for about 5 seconds. There's a dog attack at about 1:20 that shows off just how fucked up Days Gone was.
I mean, the thumbnail of this video just says, "I'm done."
Yeah, but while you're doing that, one of the things that came out during this interview is that this dev was fired from the team because he's an asshole. I don't know if a lot of people didn't read the whole article. Like, he goes down and he goes, in a small team being really disruptive. Hey, calm down.
This video, if you would like to find it, is called "I am deleting Days Gone from my PS4, and then I am drowning it in bleach," and this is on Quite Shallow on YouTube.
Yeah. So the at the end of the interview, he's talking about how, like, in a small team, being disruptive, can really help the development, but as we got more and more people in the project, my disruptive attitude kept, holding me back, and they kept sending me to these training sessions for work on sensitivity, but it just never worked out, so they let me go. And it's like, are you actually just describing that when there were only 10 people in the studio, you could scream your way to get whatever you want, but when it became like a 100-person room, everyone was like, hated working with you, and they let you go before and you're complaining the game didn't get a sequel?
Dude, like, there's a side of these things where it's like, okay, there's a world where the developer is sitting in a situation where they see that a game suffers because it doesn't get enough attention when it in some circumstance, or there's always a side of things where you're like, damn, like, this could have been a thing, but it didn't because of whatever, reasons. And you have to be like insanely fucking, like, you have to be so aware of, like, the moment that sentiment that you have about this game and, like, its success, the moment you turn anti-consumer and you start just spewing out fucking nonsense that no one can relate to, and that, like, people that bought your game would probably feel bad about hearing come out of your mouth, like, fucking have some semblance of I don't even know, like, what it means to be a consumer on the other end of things, what it means to buy a $70 game, in a competitive market
here.
In a competitive market where, like, multiple of these things are dropping every 30 days right next to each other, and you're making your decisions, certainly, like, fucking, like, holy shit, dude.
It's, there's a lot of devs that come up with there's a mantra, I think it was Sid Meier, but I'm not sure, but describing the phrase that players can optimize all the fun out of your game. Like, what the player wants is not necessarily always best for their own experience.
Yeah, check out the He-Man reboot.
Yeah, and they get into this mentality of, like, well, I'm the designer, I know best, which leads to shit like the Diablo 3 team, when the auction house was, like, ruining that game, going, players don't really know what they want. Or my personal favorite ever was Blizzard for like 6-7 years in a row, when asked about World of Warcraft Classic possibly becoming a thing, they go, you think you want that, but that game's old. You really don't want to go back and play World of Warcraft Classic. It's aged terribly, only to eventually capitulate and make World of Warcraft Classic, which has been a gigantic success. Like, the feeling of, like, well, I'm the dev, I know what's right for my thing at all times. And pull the head out of your fucking ass. Excuse me? Is there a problem on this side of the camera? Excuse me, I'm having an argument with my son.
No problem. Someone says he bragged about crunching for years. Is that real?
Oh, yeah, no, he's like, oh, yeah, so it was like 6 years of crunch. Now, I love crunch, You know, crunch doesn't affect me. I love it. I'm built different. But you know, it does get to be long. Yeah, he bragged about how much he loved crunch.
Okay. So we're just dealing with someone with zero fucking I don't what like social intelligence. I don't even know how to like he's just a dumbass. Just a complete fucking dumbass then. Yeah, okay. All right.
And you're like
pride in the wrong things. No empathy, just pride in the wrong things. Like,
I think I want to give a shout out to Mr. Feel, who summed it up perfectly, which is man who develops game featuring a completely unhinged, unlikable psychopath ends up being a jerk himself. Big surprise.
And you got and these are the takes that are coming out publicly in interviews. Can you imagine working with this asshole on the project?
I want to point out for a second that this man was fired by Sony for bad behavior and crunching, the company that owns Naughty Dog. What kind of fucking bullshit was going on at work that after a couple trips to the training seminar, they're like, you gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, so that's a stupid thing to say from a developer and fucking not quite main character of the internet, because it's just some dumb obscure news for a dumb well, I'm not going to say dumb obscure game, but not a game that I particularly heard about after its launch. There was a big old build up with it being like, look, it's like Last of Us, it's the Zombo thing, build up big PlayStation thing, and then it came out, and then no one talked about it ever again.
I don't know, man.
That was the end of that. The
second I saw that game, the general sentiment seemed to be like, look, it's Last of Us, but shittier, with motorcycles.
And if there's anything good about it, that's cool. But fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. This is some fucking, like, grade A, everyone in the office fucking hates sitting next to you. Everyone hates sitting next to you, dude. Like, you just... yeah, flashbacks. I'm just like, hey, there's that dude. We all know who. You see him going down for a smoke break, and you just fucking clear out, you know. Anyway, so yeah, that's why No Days Gone too.
This is acting as like the best CV ever, isn't it? For like getting hired on a new project.
I just like, again, like, why would you do this? Like, this is public facing. The shit that's not public facing is always like infinitely worse, you know. Anyway, enough of that asshole. We talked about NieR, so yeah, here we go. Replicant trailer showing off new features. What do we got? We got,
all right.
Excuse me.
Pull up the trailer so we can skim through it. NieR 1.22 extra content trailer.
Big ol' list of new shit. We're getting, where the fuck? God damn it! Sorry, I lost the.
Okay, here we go. Produced by Square Enix, developed by Toy Logic. Extra content trailer. We will be getting one Papa NieR's in the game, just 100%. Papa NieR's just right there.
The blur face is guess what? Extra dungeons, 15 nightmares.
I believe that was in an earlier version of the game, but I'm not super sure.
Okay.
Because I think it was DLC where you got to play as the other character. Like in Replicant, you would play as Papa NieR, and in Gestalt you would play as Brother NieR.
Now, why is Papa NieR a hot zaddy?
Because Automata sold really well. Did you say zaddy?
Because a big part. Well, it's not a huge part. The fact that he was
His
uggo.
horrible dog face.
His horrible old man face was definitely a part of what I was like, yeah, look at this ugly dad melting as he tries to save his daughter.
Yeah,
you know?
well, Papa NieR has become Daddy NieR.
Yeah. Zaddy,
so
folks, keep up with the terminology.
I don't know what that is.
We started at the.
Hold
we
on,
talked
let me
about
check
this at the
Urban
beginning.
Dictionary. Hold on.
We we talked about this at the beginning of the podcast.
Okay? Hold on. Yeah, this is that with a Z? Oh, it's a fine, handsome, and sexy-ass intelligent man that makes you smile and drip every time you see him. Is that what you're describing, Wooly?
A dad
Do you
with
low-key want to have his baby?
A dad with swagger is a zaddy.
Mm-hmm.
It's another DILF.
Well, I was reading the official definition on the internet.
According to how many thumbs up there.
Oh, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
have some Papa
NieR's got like correct facial proportions now.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to go out of their way to change his dialogue. It's just going to be a skin.
Well, no, it's a different. It's not a skin. It's a separate like combat sequence of shit that is you're playing as him.
Oh,
with his voice actor.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I don't know if they got him back, but it will be its own voice.
Because I was assuming they were just going to give us old man skin, but he still is going to be Brother NieR.
No, it is. That used to be in the old game. It was DLC, where you played as whatever version of the character you didn't have. So this time you'll be going through the 15 nightmares, which is challenge rooms.
Okay, yeah, the doors.
Zaddy NieR.
There you go. Now you're doing it. As defined by 30 people.
Yeah.
New costumes, Kabuki and Samurai. 4 YoRHa costumes and weapons.
4 YoRHa costumes.
And guess what? The old cast of NieR look fucking awesome as YoRHa members.
Well, I mean, it makes sense considering.
Yeah. Music in
Kaine
VA.
looks really good in that outfit. I wonder what...
Music in VA from Automata. And
so here's the part that's much more interesting. Because it says NieR Automata guest cast.
Mm-hmm.
And it features 5 Japanese voice actors, as well as Kira Buckland and what's his Kyle McCarley? Kyle McCarley.
Tubes and Nines.
It doesn't show 5 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
It shows 5 and 2.
Yes.
So it's not like voice lines being attached to like a, what do you call it, like a costume or something like that.
It's not exactly the same group on both English and Japanese sides. Yeah, no idea what that means.
2B and 9S's voice actors are part of that group of 5 Japanese voice
but
actors.
There are other people there that are not in English. That are not there.
So
in
one
English.
Of the things that people thought was like, oh, it's going to be like when you play as the costumes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You will have voice lines associated. But there's an A2 costume that you can see in this trailer, and A2 voice actor is not there.
Curious.
Very curious.
Like, would they, like, why would, I can't, I don't know. Maybe they just haven't done it yet, or maybe there's other things going on, but...
I have suspicions that I won't voice. But, I suspect something going on. But also, on top of that, there's an extra episode, Mermaid.
Yes, exactly. So 1.5 it is then.
Yeah, and the Mermaid is going to be like a little side story about a big old wrecked ship and a little girl and a big old shade and whatnot.
So everybody who has not played the original NieR, guess what? This one's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that all the new shit they're doing, which this is going to create, like, I'm going to assume, like, 8 new hooks for the future, right? They're going to use this as an opportunity to just lay the groundwork for the franchise.
Well, what I will say is that all of the extra content in the game is not shown in that trailer because the embargo is detailed.
Okay. So, yeah.
The embargo is very detailed about don't tell people about this.
So we're getting new hooks for the future. Very exciting. I like that. I like the connections to Drakengard and to the different like endings from those from each respective game, right? The parts where a chord works in, I think, are like some of the raddest shit. The parts
I'm hoping that the one of those the other pixelated avatar is a chord.
The idea of the red-eyed knight, you know, like, not that that's ever getting elaborated on, but if they ever did,
it's the bummer, right?
It's the coolest unexplained thing.
We have to go to Jerusalem to fight the red-eyed head of the Chlorination Legion. Like, can I get a game in that, please?
So, you know, like that stuff, which is like, it's kept distant so that new fans are not like, they don't lose out on the experience of this self-contained game. But like that, the more distant you put it, the further away you push it, the more I want to drag them together. I love those connections, man. They're fucking cool. It's like every game goes out of its way to make it as self-contained as possible, but like the little thread that connects the two ends up being the thing you want to zoom in on the most.
Yeah, somebody in the chat just mentioned it's very similar to Castlevania's War of 1999.
Sure.
Which is like the coolest thing that has ever happened in Castlevania,
and it's never shown.
You are not allowed to see.
Yeah, I'm really like, what I want is like not what the franchise wants, but I don't give a fuck, man. It's such cool shit, dude. Anyway. And shout outs to Clemps for fucking laying it all out there in a way that, like,
yes, thank you.
Yeah, for contextualizing it and making it make sense.
I'm never going to play Drakengard.
And exactly, but now that I know what all of that like backstory represents and how it like effectively creates the world of NieR, and then how the world of NieR creates the world of Automata, like you want to see that chain keep going. You know, you want to see those.
Can we get the Replicant 1.22 stuff done to Drakengard 1 and 3? Because those games are like trash. Those games are terrible.
How do you feel about the Alan Wake way of doing it, where the multiverse comes together later as opposed to at the start?
Alan Wake does it in a really, really cool way. But Alan Wake also opened up a multiverse right away. So like Max Payne ends up being a story of Alan, and then Alan ends up being a part of Control. So it was kind of the same, it just wasn't as overt.
As long as it feels like cohesive and thought out, I think you can pull it off. From what I'm hearing about you know, the Alan Wake, exactly, like that sounds like it ends up working really well. Versus, let's say, hey, so spoilers for Turn A Gundam. If you're at all interested in ever watching Sid Mead's Turn A Gundam, you should stop listening now. Okay. Fucking whoever that was. Like,
well, yeah, I'm not interested in Turn A Gundam, so continue talking, please.
So the end of Turn A Gundam, which is a wacky ass but still very cool, very different Gundam franchise that comes way, way, way after everything, is that it tries to literally connect all Gundam universes together. And
that's stupid.
There's a scene where you're looking at like different like reflections like of all the different universes all connected in this one location. And
that's dumb when some of those series are grounded.
It doesn't make a ton of sense because it feels as if this Gundam series is going, hey guys, look, I have a cool idea, look, and every other Gundam series is like, fuck off, we're doing our own thing, nerd. You know? But this one show is reaching out to the others, trying to establish some sort of connection with the Black history, and no one's really chomping at the bit. You know, it's not a two-way exchange. So
that's stupid.
Yeah, I like Turn A Gundam, but that's one aspect of it that is like, it doesn't work when you try to make this post connection where you're in the screenshot, you're looking at people with the art style of like original Gundam and people that look like Zero, or people that look like fucking Seed and shit like that. Like, it just doesn't, you don't even, like, you can't possibly belong to the same universe. You're a Moe blob and you're like a super big chin 80s anime person. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Quattro Vagina does not belong next to fucking the cast of what's the super robot one? Quattro Vagina and Master Asia should not be hanging out in the same universe.
Sure. I'd say just Rambo Ral standing next to Lux is the fucking most nonsense thing ever. On site.
By the way, I know what I just said has people already going, it's Vagina, dude. No, at the Gundam Museum, it is literally Quattro Vagina, and it is supposed to symbolize his fourth birth as a new person. It is as stupid as it sounds. It is that stupid.
See, the problem is, if you try to argue with Turn A, though, Turn A gets to just say, well, our timeline is CC. And you know what CC stands for?
What's that?
Correct century.
Go to hell. Are you serious? Oh my god, that's so toxic. That is toxic.
Yeah. You don't get to say shit. You get out of here with your fucking your made up centuries. We have the correct century. You might Can't fight it. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm hoping for NieR to, like, you know, use this remake of the first game to just reestablish and reignite those connections to all the other games and strengthen them. And while we're at it, fucking get rid of that awful, stupid ending F, because that shit was lame.
Ending F?
Was it F? The weird baby one?
In what?
Original NieR. The one that wasn't in the game. There was an ending that wasn't in the game that was only... I think it was like...
ending E?
Is it E I'm thinking of? Shit. Yeah, ending E. The weird baby one. The novel.
The novel?
Yeah, that shit was stupid. That was dumb. With the fucking... The baby in the tree. Anyway. Alright.
Okay. I only read about that after the fact. Like, I honestly don't remember it very well.
Basically, there's all the canon game endings, and then there's an extra canon book ending that was written after the fact, and it sounded very terrible. It sounded really awful.
Somebody in the chat asks, is Replicant the second Strand type game? Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway, so yay for that. Also, what's his name? Hold up. Oh, they didn't. Yes, Yosuke Saito said that, Yoko Taro is working on a new Square Enix title as creative director. This was said...
Yosuke Saito, the normal man they tell to hang out with Yoko Taro.
This is a difficult to explain digital-only title. I've created something mysterious that I have no idea how to explain at all. It is offbeat.
It's just gonna be Nobi Nobi Boy with hot chicks.
A special physical edition might also be released, so I'm going to take that part to mean that it's not going to be mobile gacha.
Okay.
But well, yes.
They already made one.
Yeah, they are. But I don't know if this is even NieR related. They didn't expressly say it was, you know? But he's doing something.
I don't know. With Taro, it's really funny that we're calling it NieR related because it's all Drakengard, really.
That's true.
But like... it's all NieR related. Like, he just keeps... like, it's so weird. Most creators, when they want to make a new thing, they just make a new thing. But with Taro, he makes a new thing that's however the hell he wants it to be, and then just goes, yeah, it happened later.
Yeah, sure.
Just jams it in.
Or it happened sideways.
Yeah, like... I want to make a robot one. Okay. Yeah, just jam it in there at the end. Just jam it, yeah.
I'm tired of dragons. I want robots now.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. You want to go back to dragons? Yeah, just fucking crowbar it into that part. It's like the total opposite.
Yeah.
You remember
and
the
then
description of Zelda from like Nintendo? It's like there's a big book of all the timeline.
Yeah.
It's but like, no, let's dartboard it.
But then just hard cut from that stupid conversation to us just bawling over the credits. Like, tears exploding out of our faces.
Such a genius. How does he do it?
As some lady sings a song and a bunch of other choirs are backing her up and we're just fucking dying, you know? It's like, yeah, dragon robot. Ugh.
It's such a like the man that made a game that had legitimately crying during landing. Like, oh my god, this is like so deep. I feel so connected to the human race. Is also the guy who, in like the first half hour of Drakengard 3, has like a dragon like pissing on the camera and going wee wahoo in the background. It's like so deep. It's just.
I mean, a game with that gratuitous an ass just pulling tears out of you. Big old tears, you know?
And then like you could make like a supercut of like the most embarrassing shit in these games. And like there'd be plenty, right? And then like let's take Mikhail in Drakengard 3 just like shitting and pissing on the camera while Zero's like yelling at a man to clean himself up front and back for later in the evening. And then like put like the raw quote of like, so do you want to play the game this guy wrote about 9/11?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And the answer may shock you.
I just like, could you imagine if like you're playing like fucking Dante's Awakening and then somehow it makes you cry at the end? Like, could you like I would be so ashamed. I would be so upset if a game that dumb somehow made that happen. God, NieR. Why are you so good?
A lot of it's the music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like genuinely, like a lot, bluntly, a lot of the heavy lifting is the music.
But it's the music combined with the notion. You know? But anyway, play this game when it comes out.
What if something was sad?
I mean, there's a lot of sad things that are just like, oh wow, that's pretty sad. Anyway, what's for dinner? You know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, dog's finally falling asleep. You dumbass.
So two things over in the world of board games. One, sneak peek at the Baz figure. That's pretty cool. Hey.
Sick.
Did a little retweet on that.
Farther and farther away from us. Further
I don't even recognize him anymore. Like, he's so cool. So this is Panda Cult Games who are working on Shovel Knight Dungeon Duels, and they have a pretty fucking cool looking Baz figure for the miniatures. I'll give it another bump with a retweet right there, so you can go check out what they're doing. Wild to think that there's a physical official product that he gets to be a part of. But also, I imagine Raze and Hatman are probably in there too.
Mr. Hat's pretty great.
So,
of all those extra characters that weren't the Baz, Mr. Hat was my favorite by far.
Oh yeah, Mr. Hat was very cool. Yeah, I look forward to seeing what's going to shape up here. And then alongside this is the sneak peek at apparently the Monster Hunter World miniatures board game is going to be coming to Kickstarter. It's not out yet. However, they did put out a preview of some of the figures. And the reason why I'm talking about this on the fucking show is because I'm going to send you the link to these figures. I think these are the best looking miniatures I've ever seen.
All right.
I'm sending you a link.
That's quite a claim.
These might be the best I've seen.
Those are astonishingly deep. Wow! With that Rathalos.
Yeah, I'm going to say immaculate quality on this Monster Hunter World.
The final versions are going to look that good.
It's kind of crazy how good these things look right now.
There's no way.
Very, very. And so this is being made by Steam Forged, who were also behind the Resident Evil board game. What did they do? They did a couple things successfully, I think.
Take that, Warhammer nerds. Monster Hunter beat you at your own game.
Dark Souls board game, Horizon Zero Dawn, Ni no Kuni, Resident Evil. Yeah. Holy shit.
That's pretty crazy.
So just, I don't know. Take a look at this fucking link. And if this is at all, I hope that this is what it actually looks like. If this is just a big old prototype, pre-render, like, not gonna look like this in real life thing. Because I got these fucking Street Fighter miniatures behind me, and I'm still looking at Alex's wonky eye. Well, anyway.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, check it out. Steam Forged, Monster Hunter World. I was blown away by the quality of those miniatures there. And last little bit over here. I mean, okay. I don't want to go too heavy visual bit for this MP3 file.
Do it. Show me something, and then I won't be able to describe it.
No, but your camera is not going to work for this. because I'm gonna
I can
have to
look
get
at the
it.
stream camera.
Okay, I'm gonna try my best here. So
I'm gonna describe it badly on purpose. That's what we're gonna do.
Let me grab. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, he's gone now. I've been getting up from time to time to take care of the puppo and whatnot, which I totally have to do right now, actually. Shit. I gotta feed that dog in 10 minutes or else he will kill me and eat me.
I'm going to hold up.
Oh, it's too blurry, Wooly. It's not working. I'm describing a blurry... It's a man... It's a blurry man. Oh, it's a Sagat. It's got a tiger. He's got 2 little orange hands.
Looks good.
That doesn't look bad at all.
Nikali. Looks good. Looks good. Looks really good.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that's a high quality Nikali I'm looking at. All right. What's wrong with his eyes? Holy shit! Alex looks so bad! Oh! Oh, it's not working. It's too blurry. Oh! Oh, it's not gonna work. The camera focus. Oh, there it is. Holy shit! That's like a girl asking you, like, how do I look? And you just say bad.
It's not good.
That genuinely
not good.
looks like it. That looks like he's related to the saber on the bootleg figurines Twitter account main profile picture.
And that's the problem, is these are coming in the same box. You know? Like, some of them look fucking incredible, and then there's whatever the fuck happened there. You know? Same product. Yeah. Anyway. Let's take some emails and get out of here.
All right. Dog, you'll have to wait a few minutes for your food because we're finishing up with emails. Don't give me that look. He's looking at me like a fat pig, but I mean, he'll live.
All right. We got one coming in
Get
from
some
Michael.
burgers for your burgers, buddy. Don't you worry.
Michael says, "Oh yeah, did you try the RE demo? Was it good?"
Yeah, it's not good.
Okay.
The game will be good, but for the purposes of a demo, it's pretty bad. The cutscene, the timer. First of all, it's one of those you can only play half-hour things.
Time demo.
The timer doesn't stop during like forced cutscenes. Most of the demo is forced cutscenes. There's only like 3 enemies in the demo. It is literally the first half hour once you get to the village for the first time, and as such, it's very dull. And you can only play it once. It's not nearly as good as like the RE7 demo. And it's only available for 2 days. Like you can't play it anymore.
Yeah, that's stupid. Like last time they did that, we talked about how stupid it was, and it seems like they're pretty committed to it.
Yeah, they're pretty committed to how stupid it is.
Well, on that note, yeah, so here we go. Well, Ryan asks us, I was watching Max play the RE8 demo recently, and there was a cool moment where he was being chased by a bunch of enemies, and he ran into a little shack nearby and barricaded himself inside. As he frantically scanned the shack, the enemies were tearing away at the boarded-up windows and slamming on the barricade behind him. And then he saw a shotgun from the corner of the room, grabbed it, boomstick loaded, and turned just as the first enemy got to him and blew him back with the shotgun. It felt like something out of a movie, but none of it was scripted. The encounter was entirely organic due to Max's decisions and the gamer's AI working well. So I guess I could use that to ask, are there any cool moments or encounters in games where things went off in a just a really interesting way as opposed to a heavily scripted set piece? I
got aggro on top of the Phalanx and Shadow of the Colossus when I first played it all those years ago.
Yeah, so think Gascoigne sidestepping you at the same time and blasting you in the face with the blunderbuss as if he was reading your steps type shit. So that's a pretty good example. Yeah, obviously Tarkus didn't go the same way for other people as it went for me, so that was a nice one. But you mentioned it, and I have the same thing. Shadow of the Colossus. My favorite ever is personally fighting Avion, fighting the bird, and just having that moment where you're like riding and hanging on for dear life and tumbling back, and I basically like ran out of grap meter. I still call it grap because of that Ness demake screenshot. But
Jesus, dude.
Grap meter. But I ran out of grap and was falling backwards on the thing and like regained just enough while it was turning to like have a last minute like reach onto the edge of the tail, you know, and had a really dramatic like final fucking hold on and for dear life moment, and then completely just lost it and fell off, you know. But the way it all came together was like incredibly cinematic for something non-scripted.
I think my personal favorite my personal favorite version of that happens often is any co-op shooter, any game in which you are in a cooperative situation and you are shooting guns with enemies that rush at you, is that when you turn to shoot an enemy that is about to get you and they get blown away and die because your partner shot them over your shoulder.
Time crisis.
And you're like, oh, thanks, man. You know, like that's my favorite.
Those are cool.
Also, apologies for the noise. Dog is hungry, as you can probably tell.
Though, just to say on that moment, though, any game I'm playing now that has something like that happen, I feel as if it's like it's unscripted but scripted. Like, they do play tests enough to know how many people see the lighting, follow it, run towards this door, take this many seconds to see the shotgun, turn around, and then have an oh fuck moment right at the last second. You know, so like without even, I didn't see it, but what Max had, I'm sure they had a lot of people experience that in playtest and made it deliberately like tweaked here and there so that it worked out just that way, you know. Sounds good though, feels good when it happens. We got one here from Michael says, Dear Count Madden and the Mad Goblin of Saliva, it's not a question. A few weeks ago, you talked about fans sometimes knowing more than a character and weird facts about the works of a creator. I wanted to share a fantastic moment of Oda, who never forgets, of One Piece, and Toriyama, who forgets, of Dragon Ball. And
that's true.
They had an interview together. Twice in the interview, Oda floors Toriyama with his love of Dragon Ball and character designs, such as Ranfan Armpit and Tao Pai Pai's hands, and how he practices drawing them all the time. Toriyama stops him and tells him this is getting really obscure with this Tao Pai Pai guy, and Oda was shocked and sad because he was a major character.
Yeah, Tao Pai Pai was a huge character. Cyborg and all that shit.
like Toriyama's like, you're getting really obscure with this major villain of early Dragon Ball. Like, yeah. So he's the first villain to beat Goku. Tied him to Tien's teacher as his little brother in the next arc, and then rivals with Roshi. Central conflict of the tournament arc. It's Tien's first opponent. Just super important. It plays a huge role. Yeah, next following up on Toriyama's love of mecha, Oda brings up the Pilaf gang combining their robot. And again, to Toriyama's confusion, he says, I guess I drew that. The interviewer is stunned at Toriyama. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I guess so.
The man invented fucking modern hyper shonen. So
and now he can't remember.
Let him rest. Let him rest.
Hey,
modern hyper shonen, not shonen in general.
You know what? Oh man, I expect an interview from like Toriyama's assistant in like 10 years, where he's like, "What if Goku gets a new hair color for Super Saiyan that's yellow?"
What if,
dude?
What if Super Saiyan 2?
What if I super forgot that existed?
I mean, that franchise goes from fucking like it imagine if Gurren spent years on Earth before eventually graduating to space, you know? Like that thing is like it's basically three different like franchises, three different you know, things all matched together. I mean, I don't, you know, I can't blame him that hard. There's a lot of shit going on in it, but wow, at that's just funny shit. Anyway, last quick one over here. Just a note from Jasper saying, "Hey, Monday Pat and Sabbath Wooly, thanks for the discount code on Manscaped that I used recently. Couldn't be delivered to my door for some reason. Picked it up at my local grocery store in Sweden. Cute checkout girl was at the post talking to her colleague when I got there. Gave her the delivery slip. She went to the back to get it. After 10 seconds, I hear a high-pitched laugh, and it continues. So her colleague goes in the back, and they also start laughing. After 5 seconds, I wait some more until the cute one gives me my package, and it says Manscaped boldly on both sides. That's what happens when you listen to Wooly's shaving propaganda. But at least she now knows I keep my things trim."
Hey man, that's an icebreaker.
There you go. Opportunity provided. You're
you
welcome.
Look at the thing, and you look at her, and you're like, "So?"
You're welcome. Enjoy that.
Doing my public service.
That was free. All right, you got an in. Speaking of an in, you got to get some food in that thing. So let's get out of here.
He's going nuts. He's on camera for the first time when he's going nuts for food. Y'all can see it. Like, he is like beside himself. I know.
Does he attack the food bag before you have a chance to pour it out?
No. It's all in the fridge.
Okay.
But if I were to put the food bowl down, you know what? Fuck it. Hold on one second.
Alrighty. We're gonna find out, I suppose.
Do you want this? Do you want this? Come on.
Sounds like he's getting pretty desperate. Oh, we got a live feed going on over here. Okay. Okay.
All right. Well, we should call it there because he's licking the empty bowl.
Okay. All right. Goodbye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.